Well, the last few days have not been a disco party around here. I threw my back out on Saturday working on the boat, and so I've just been kind of like gimping around the shop and doing like bare minimums, trying not to cripple myself any worse than I am. It's getting better though, it's getting much better. But I have had time, I've had the ability to sit here in this chair and work on this thing. And so last night, Al and I tag teamed this and got it to where it is right now, and we'll talk about that in a minute. One of the big things on this channel is we like to show the simplest, most basic ways, the most economical ways to do things. The way anybody, if you've got the determination, you really want to go out there and work on your stuff, but you don't have money, you don't have equipment, you don't have, friends with all sorts of resources, that you're going to go out there and trudge along on your own with your bare basics. You're who we do this channel for. And like yesterday, we did the Junkyard Jet update video, and we had that surfacing, the cylinder head surfacing device created by Austin and Company, which was the battery bungeed to the piece of wood. Something like that works. I know it's much better to bring it to a machine shop and let them drop it down on their belt sander, or actually cut the head. But necessity being the mother of invention, and they wanted it then and there, and they didn't want to spend any money. They created a device, and it worked, and it would work for you. What I'm doing here is similar to that. So the first thing I want to say is, anytime we bring out the Welder, we talk about our $109 Flux core Harbor Freight welder. People are like, go get a Hobart, go get this, go get a Lincoln. No. I don't want any of those things. This welder represents two things to me. It represents, first, what anybody can go and get and work with on their own, anywhere. And then the other thing is, it represents total freedom to me, because I'm not a slave to the bottle. I don't have to worry about the bottle going dry. I don't have to worry about wind. I don't have to worry about anything. I can take my little 110 volt flux core welder and bring it anywhere, anytime, and do any job. No, it's not going to be as pretty as, a proper welder, but it'll get the damn job done. And in this case here, it's getting a really good job done for us. So here's what we have with this thing. We're doing our 2-door to 4-door conversion. And like I said, last night, Al was here. We worked on this thing. We tag teamed this. And I'll tell you what we did in a minute. So we welded our back sections in, tied it to the main part of the quarter, but now we had all kinds of crazy destructive areas here. And one of them was this lip. This lip was just destroyed. It was paper thin in a lot of places. It was caved in, it was warped, there was nothing you could do to work with it. So now, you could fix something like this one of two ways. The first would be to cut this out and then rework the metal, or work a piece of metal, fit it back in place and weld it in. That would be the proper way to do it. That would be the best way to do it. Something like that is easier said than done, because it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a proper set of working tools to create this compound piece here. So it starts thick here, it ends thin here. It starts with a wide taper here, it ends with a short taper here. It has a blend right here. So to fabricate this piece out of a piece of sheet metal and then weld it in place, it can be done, it's the right way to do it, but you know what? That is beyond my capabilities as a fabricator. It's probably beyond 90%, and I know right away, I see guys in the comments, I could do that with my eyes closed. My sick mother could do that from her deathbed. Yeah, I know, you're all champions, I get that. I can't do that, and most people can't do that. So, we just made our own metal. So here's what we did with this. As destroyed and everything as this was, what we did was make a simple cardboard template that fit the contour of the quarter panel here, and we just started welding in beads over the rusted bad metal. So this was all weird and twisted and bent, distorted, but what we did is we just kept laying beads. So we had our level here, and we laid a bunch of beads right here. I laid the beads, and then Al came in with the grinder, and he formed this ledge. And we kept checking it with our template. So obviously the way the light hits it, it looks like it's all over the place, but when you look at it from the template, it's actually right there. So what I did was I continuously laid beads across here, and every time I would lay a series of beads, Al would come in with the grinder, make it flush, check it with our template, and we kept moving down and down and down. So now here we're at this section, and you can see the cardboard is straight, the lip is straight. It'll only take a fine film of mud over this to actually, make it right. So now we move down, and the further we move down, we're still straight. We've got our taper is consistent. We match it against the other side. And now we're right here at the bottom. So here you can see the next area that has to get filled. You can see the right here. See? So now we'll whip out the welder and lay in a bead. That's about as far as we have to go with that. So we take our cardboard, and it's still going to take one more pass right here in the very center. You see where it comes up here. So I'll lay some more. And that's just about straight. So now what we'll do is we'll come in here with the grinder, we'll dress this smooth. So I got a couple of small divots here. to the grinder. And there you go. It's real metal. It's as solid as any other part of the car. Now, there's like no limit to what you can do with this. You can literally fabricate an entire quarter panel as long as you have some sort of template to go by to keep checking it to make sure you're right in the right, you know, all of the right angles and curves and whatnot are being accounted for. But now Al, who's much better with the grinder than I am, will smooth this out, and it'll just take a very thin coating of mud over this to actually make it right. So it's just an alternative way of doing things, and that's a good way to fill in rust too. If you've got a rust spot, you know, let's just say you got a rust hole over here and you got good metal around it, it's a good way to fill in a rust spot. As long as you can get to some decent metal and then just lay your beads, you know, just keep laying a bead over a bead over a bead over a bead over a bead, and then just grind it smooth, and the next thing you know, man, you've got 100% solid metal. So there you go. Cheap Harbor Freight flux core tricks. Get out and melt some metal. I'll see you tomorrow.